All right, but let's get started. We do have a lot to cover. I was just hoping people were wanting to join, so I'm glad you're all with me tonight. We are covering this is our lead generation series. We're talking about your circle of influence and referrals. So we are doing the step up your database to yield its potential. So just so we all know, when we have a database and we're interacting with it on a regular basis, consistently and systematically, it should yield a 10% conversion ratio. That's what you should be aiming for, which means that, if you've got 300 people in your database, it should yield a 10% conversion ratio on transactions. And it may be those people transacting, or it may be that we're getting referrals from those people for transactions. So just kind of keep that in mind, but we're aiming for 10%. And as always, you should be tracking your numbers so that you're staying on top of everything and know exactly where your conversion ratios are. But let's hop in. Today, we're going to cover quality over quantity when it comes to contacts in our database. Then we're going to talk about how to break the mold, step up our game. In addition, we're going to talk about how to tag your database, how to create a circle of influence system that's going to bring results. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to throw those in the chat box, unmute yourself, raise your hand, interrupt me, whatever works for you. The more interaction, the better. So let's get started. All right. So, we want to be systematically working our database. Okay. And if you're spending money on leads, I'm just going to throw this out there. If you're spending money on leads, you may want to pump the brakes on spending money on leads if you're not systematically working your database. Stop spending that money. Focus in on those systematic interactions with your existing database, because that's where that quality over quantity comes into play. And it really, truly, it doesn't matter how many people are in your database if you're not connecting with them on a regular basis. So I would say if you're paying money for leads, stop paying money for leads, dive into your database, set up systems and processes around that. Then once you have those systems and processes going, then you can go back to spending money on whatever it is that you want to spend money on. But that's what I would recommend. Next, as we begin contacting our database, we have to eliminate people that do not have good contact information. Okay, so we'll dive more into tags here in a minute, but you may want to tag them as a bad lead. I would never remove them completely from my database. I would leave them in there. Or you may want to take them out of your database and then like have a spreadsheet of all of those people without the correct contact information, or with no contact information, because they're not doing us a whole lot of good in our database. There's no wrong or right way to that. But, if you don't have any good way to get in touch with them, there's really no reason to necessarily keep them in your database. So, but you may not want to delete them. As in the future, we may want to spend some time tracking down their contact information. So that's the only reason I wouldn't recommend just like trashing them out of our database and get good riddance forever. Is we may want to spend some time after we get our database cleaned up and running and doing those systematic touches. Then once a week, we may want to dive in and see if we can track down 3 or 4 people's contact information that we didn't have. So just something to keep in mind. Once we sort out those bad apples, the next step is to begin contacting everyone in your database. And my guess is that you probably have a handful of contacts that you talk with regularly, and you have some that you haven't talked with in quite some time. So we really want to start with those, the ones that we don't contact regularly, right? Actual human to human conversations is going to win their business. Here in a moment, I'm going to show you a simple script that you can use to connect with them. And remember, we want to systematize the process. Okay, that's going to make it easy to follow that process. I just realized that my camera's off. That's going to make it easy to follow that process and then continue to duplicate it, right? So we're going to talk about some of those systems here in just a minute again, but here's that script that you can use for those people that you haven't connected with in a while, right? Simple script. This is Amy. I'm a real estate agent. We spoke back in May and lost touch. what is your real estate plan for 2024? Right? So if they're leads that are in your database that you may not be like close with, they're not family friends that are in there, this is a great script to utilize for that because it gets right to the point. It introduces you, it tells them who you are, and just ask them what their plans are. We're not saying, hey, when are you selling your home, or when are you going to buy another one? Just what's your real estate plan for 2024? If they're like, man, I'm doing good. We bought this house a couple years ago, not planning on doing anything anytime soon. Be like, perfect. I'm so glad you found the most amazing house ever. Who else do you know that you work with, neighbors down the street, friends, family? Who else do you know that may be looking for the same thing you have, looking for that forever home? I would love to help those people that get into their forever home as well, right? We're asking for those referrals. Okay, if it's people that you have, their family, their friends that you just have lost touch with, then we may want to go a little bit more personal, right? We may want to dive into our Ford sandwich, which we'll talk about here again in a minute. And we may want to just start that conversation with just touching base. Hey, I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to get back in touch with you. How have you been? That might be the initial conversation. It may not even go into real estate. Oftentimes, that conversation leads to, oh, where are you still, are you still working at blah, or where are you working? And then they go, oh yeah, what are you doing now? And you're like, oh, actually, I'm a real estate agent. And then they're going to start asking questions, and it's just going to naturally lead into that conversation. But if it doesn't matter. That's okay for our first conversation, for those people that we are in our circle of influence, that are in our database, that we may not have talked with in a while. Any questions about that? All right. In addition, let's see, we want to make sure that we're using tags. Okay, this is going to allow us to easily sort our database. Most databases, most CRMs or contact relationship managers, if you're using Boomtown, I'm sure Follow Up Boss has them as we swap over to that one. And even the OneSuite has the ability to tag your database. Okay, if we tag them, then we can sort based on tags, which makes it really easy to search through our database to figure out who we should be connecting with. Okay, so by Adriana. So one thing that we can tag them with, right? If they're a bad lead, we talked about that already. If we don't want to pull them completely out of our database, but we have bad contact information for them or no contact information, we can tag them as bad. If they're missing information, we may want to tag that as well, like missing, like no phone or no email or no address, right? So we may want to tag them with what they're missing so that we know that, hey, if I've got spare time this week, my intention is to fill in all that missing information. Makes it really easy to sort through my database with all the people with no emails, make those phone calls and ask them what their emails are. Okay, so we could do that as well. And then we're going to dive into each of these areas. So we're going to make sure that we want to tag our VIP people in our circle of influence. So we're going to tag those with VIP and COI. Super simple. In addition to your VIP and COI, we're going to tag all the leads with either hot, nurture, and watch, or some version of that. Again, we'll talk about these all here in a minute. And we're going to make sure to tag or set reminders for our quarterly call plan. Okay, you may also want to tag all of the people in your database with captured versus connected, where the contact came from, what group they belong to, and what their intent is. So let's talk about each of those a little bit more. The VIP and COI tags, you're going to want to identify the VIPs in your database. Those are our referrers, people that are sending us business. They're our closed clients. They are our cheerleaders. They are the ones that we want to spend the most time, energy, and effort with because they know us, they love us, they trust us, and they've shown us that they will do business or get people to do business with us. Okay. Someone may be a VIP client that has never done business with you, but they've referred people to you. That's totally okay. Okay. So we want to make sure we tag those people with the VIP. In addition, we're going to tag or identify those people that are in our circle of influence, right? The people that you have relationship with and the people who know who you are. Okay. Those two groups of people, again, they're going to get the most of your energy and attention. So they're going to get the most interaction throughout the year. So we're going to tag people either VIP or COI, or they could be cold leads, sign calls, open houses, people from our farm. Those wouldn't get those tags, okay? So in addition to tagging people with COI or VIP, you may also want to tag your contacts that have expressed a desire to buy or sell real estate with some version of hot, nurture, and watch. It could also be like A, B, and C, or gold, silver, bronze. I don't really care, but whatever works for you and makes you happy. The hot tag or that gold tag or your A tag, those are going to be people or contacts that have talked about doing business sometime in the next 90 days. Either right now they're an active client, or they're thinking, gosh, give me a month, I'll be ready to go. So 0 to 90 days. Okay. Those people you're going to be in contact with on a weekly basis. Okay. We don't want them to fall through the cracks because they're ready to give us business now. The nurture tag is going to be people who are going to do business sometime in the next 90 days to a year. Okay, so 90 days to a year. So 4 to 12 months. Those we're going to contact bi-weekly. Okay, or at least every other week. So we're giving them a little less attention until they move into that hot. And people might be moving through tags. So as we've got somebody through nurture and they're like, oh yeah, actually, I think we're ready. Like, who do you recommend as a lender? Now they've moved from nurture to hot. Okay, so we need to make sure we're updating those tags. Finally, we have those on our watch list. Those are the ones that aren't going to transact this year. We're going to interact with them monthly in addition to our regular interactions. So keep in mind, these are all people that have said, yes, I want to buy or sell a house. Here's the time frame that I'm thinking of. That's how we're going to tag these. If we haven't talked to them, we don't know if they're going to buy or sell a house, they don't get one of these tags. So we've got hot, nurture, and watch. Okay. We talked about updating those tags. So then we've got our quarterly call plan. Everybody in our database, we should be calling once a quarter. If you don't know what a quarter is, it's once every 3 months. So they're going to get 4 phone calls a year. There's lots of different ways to do that. One is a DTD2, which is do the database to. If you Google search it, it'll come up and show you what the call plan is for DTD2. But what it does is it takes people by last name and puts them in groups together based on the average last names in database, what equals out to the same number of, or the percentage of people in somebody's database. So like A is not paired with B, it's paired with W, and B is paired with E, and so on and so forth. So it kind of works like that. So if you Google it, you can find it. So a lot of people like to do that. It works 13 weeks through your, so that's how long a quarter is. So you call everybody who's A and W week 1. We're calling everybody who's B and E week 2. I don't remember what C is paired with, but whatever C is paired with, we would call that week 3. And we just complete that through that first quarter. And then we rinse and repeat quarter 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we would want to tag them with whatever. If we're doing the DTD2, we'd want to tag them like AW or BE or whatever. So it makes it really easy to plug that into our sort feature on our database. It pulls it all up. We know who we're supposed to call this week. The other option is you could do it by weeks. So you could, call everybody week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. You could tag them that way in your database up to 13 weeks, because then you know that each week you're calling another section of people. I don't care how you break those out. There's lots of different ways to do that. You could take the total number of contacts in your database. We can divide it by 13. Voila, there we go. Now we just start tagging that many people. We start at the top, tag 10 people for week 1, the next 10 people week 2, the next 10 people week 3, right? However that is. Now keep in mind that when we add people to our database, we should be calling them and connecting with them. And then we want to make sure that we add them to the quarterly call plan on the tag so that we know when we're supposed to interact with them for our regular systematic interaction next. Okay. The other way you might want to tag them is you might want to just tag them like month 1, month 2, month 3, because there's 3 months in a quarter. So it might be like M1, M2, M3, you know, you've got to call everyone in M1 the first month, M2's the second month, and M3 the third month. So there's no wrong or right way to do this. We just want to make sure they're tagged so we can easily sort it. Let's see. The other way that you can do it, there's another way to call people. It's the 555. It's really my favorite. But instead of tags, you may want to just tag them with like a 555 tag that they're on the 555, and then you're going to set reminders for when you're supposed to connect with them next on your reminders section of your CRM. But we always want to tag people what quarterly call plan they're on, or that they are on one, so that it makes it really easy to make sure everyone's on that call plan and that we're not missing anybody with those quarterly phone calls. All right, let's see here. Next, we're going to want to tag our database with either captured or connected. Okay, and the way that I like to think of that, right? So we've got VIP and COI. We've got what quarterly call plan they're on. We've got whether they're hot, nurture, or watch, or none of those, right? Then we also want to tag those people with captured versus connected. Okay, our captured people, they're like zoo animals. We've got them in a cage. But when we call their name, they may not know who we are, and they're probably not going to come to us. Okay, zoo animal. That's somebody, we met them at an open house. We've got their contact information. We know how to reach out to them, but if they saw our text message come through, or our phone number show up on their phone, they may not know who we are, and they probably wouldn't answer it. Okay, so that's captured. Connected is like your pet. When we call our pet, most of the time they come running to us. They're excited to hear from us. So those would be our connected people. People who, when we call them or text them, they recognize our number. We're probably even saved in their phone, and they're probably going to answer our call, or at least respond back to us via text, right? So zoo animal captured, pets are connected. Capture versus connected. So that's how we think of our leads. If it's a one-sided interaction, they're captured. If it's a two-way conversation, now we're connected with them. Any questions so far?
Nope, thank you.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Next, we also want to tag them, or you may want to tag them with the source, group, and intent. So this is kind of a bonus. So we'd want to tag everyone in our database with how you met that client, or where that contact came from. Might be things like open house, home show, baseball, community event, you know, however that is. You may also want to put them in groups, right? Maybe they're a past client, a vendor, a business owner, a referral, right? We can group people lots of different ways. Somebody you went to school with, a friend of your mom's, whoever that is, we may want to group them just to help us really place who that person is and where they came into our lives and how we know them. Or the other thing is too, we may want to tag them with like mom or dad. Like if they are a mom or a dad, maybe we want to tag them as military, right? So there's all these different ways that we may want to put them in groups that allow us to sort our database by those groups. So if we were doing like a Mother's Day pop by, now we can easily sort through our database, find all the moms, and know exactly who those pop bys need to go to. So just some really fun ways to be able to sort and interact with your database. And finally, you may want to tag them with their intent. Are they a buyer, right? Do they rent currently? So are they a buyer? Are they a potential seller? Do they own a home? Are they an investor? So there's so many ways there that you can use that, but you may want to tag them with buyer, seller, or investor. You could even tag them with like, if we didn't want to tag them necessarily with their intent, we could tag them with their situation. So they could be like renter, owner, investor, right? If they already have investment properties, so we could tag them that way as well. All right. So again, VIP or COI, captured or connected, where we met them, groups, how we want to group people together, what their intent is, some other, timing. So either hot, nurture, or watch, and then also their quarterly call plan. It's going to make it so much easier for you to sort through your database, to find the people that you need to connect with, and make sure that no one slips through the cracks. And then if you're sending out like a buyer themed email, we know that we can reach out to like all those people that are tagged as buyers or all those people that are tagged as renters, right? You can quickly identify who you need to send those things to. So it makes it so we can work smarter, not harder. All right. Next, what we can do is we can break the mold, right? We can level up our systems. The first step for improving our systems is going to be evaluate what you currently have in place, right? So in order to get the results that you desire, first you have to know where our results are, which is going to require digging into the data. Okay, after you have that, you're going to be willing to change. You have to be willing to change what you are doing and how you are doing it. So it's a good idea to kind of do a weekly review each and every week. At first, it might take a little longer, but after you get the hang of it, it should only take about 30 minutes a week. You can time block it. Step one is that every lead that you haven't, step one is going to be every lead that you haven't connected with, they should be on a 19 to connect plan. So anybody who is labeled in there as captured, not connected, should be on a 19 to connect plan. So you want to make sure that you have put them on that plan and that that is being triggered so that all those interactions are happening. Okay. I would also recommend like once per quarter that we attempt to reactivate those people to get them to respond by putting them on what we call a 12 to connect plan. Okay, and that's where we're going to interact with them 12 times over like the next couple weeks. Okay, we're trying to get them to respond to us. So we're going to step up those connections. Then we're going to go back to that 19 to connect. So that's step one of evaluating your systems. Is everybody marked either captured or connected? And are all the people that are marked captured on a 19 to connect plan? And when are we going to trigger that 12 to connect? It's a really good time to trigger that 12 to connect when you're scheduled to call those people. Okay, because if we're already tagging them when we're supposed to call them and interact with them next, it's really easy once that call comes around to activate that 12 to connect plan. Is every buyer, step two of evaluating our existing systems, is every buyer on a property drip? Okay, are they all getting properties dripped to them on a weekly or monthly basis in their inbox? I like using a separate system than my CRM to drip properties on people because it gives me 2 points of contact that they have to unsubscribe from before they stop hearing from me. Okay, so like in my CRM, they might get like the newsletter going out, whereas their property drip may either be in like berries or it may be in Real Scout or something like that. So again, they have 2 places they have to unsubscribe from to get rid of me. Okay, everyone who isn't a buyer, everyone who's a homeowner should be getting a neighborhood update. Again, I like using Real Scout for that. I think it's handy. You can go in there and draw the circle around their house in just their neighborhood and then set it to automatically send them a monthly update each and every month. You set it and forget it. Super simple and easy. So that's going to be step 3 of evaluating your systems. Number 4 is, does your CRM or your property drip or your monthly neighborhood update, does it allow you to see recent activity? Oftentimes they do, like Real Scout allows you to see who's clicked on the emails, what properties they've clicked on. Berries also will show you if they've been into their portal looking at properties. Your CRM may handle that as well. They're clicking on newsletters and stuff. You want to make sure that you're connecting with the contacts that have recent activity. So we want to have a system in place for that. You want to make sure that everybody in your database is on that quarterly call plan, right? So it might take a little while the first time, but then next week when we do our weekly review to make sure everybody that we've added to our database is still on that quarterly call plan, makes it really easy because they don't have any of those tags. Okay, we want to make sure we put them on that quarterly call plan. We want to make sure that any tasks that we have assigned ourselves are being done when they are due and before they become overdue. So we need to make sure we have a solid system in place. Most CRMs will allow you to set those tasks and then it notifies you when things become due. So you should be logging into that CRM or your calendar or your reminders on a daily basis to make sure everything's getting done when it's due and before it becomes overdue. Okay. If any of these pieces are missing, we want to make sure to remedy that issue. So that's going to help you kind of step up that plan and make sure that people aren't randomly getting added to your database and getting lost in the mix by not getting tagged. Because we're going to review those steps each and every week. Again, the first week, it might take us a little longer. After that, it should be like a 30-minute review. Make sure everybody's good to go, and then we move on. Okay. All right. So let's talk about how to build a COI, or a circle of influence system. Okay, we want to identify and create value, right, to our people in our circle of influence. So the key is to get results from your database in the form of your database, either buying and selling homes, as well as through a steady stream of referrals. So we want to make sure that we're constantly filling up our database. We're going to personalize that communication. We're going to put those people that are in our COI or our VIP group, they should be on what we call a 36 plus touch. And then we're going to talk about how to supercharge that. So your goal with your database, and specifically your circle of influence, is to become the Google of your service area, right? To become Google, you're going to want to know the local economy, be the real estate expert, compile a vendor list for all the services someone who owns or rents a home may use, and also compile all the community information, events, parks, restaurants, activities, all those things. You want to know the area that you're servicing. That's going to help you bring value to those people in your database. You want to be hyper local and the go-to for all the information in your area. Okay, if you serve a large area, you may want to narrow it down to a niche. Not that you can't service the rest of it, but the information that you're providing right away may just be like if you're covering Sacramento, Yolo, Napa, Sonoma, Solano counties, right? Then you may be like, okay, well, right now I live in Solano County. So right now I'm going to focus in on Solano County. I'm going to become hyper local there. We may even want to narrow it down to a city and then slowly expand out as we get the hang of it. So just kind of think of that too. You can sort or tag or sort your people depending on your database by the city that they live in. So that might make it easier for you to like be specific to certain areas inside of your service area as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. But be the Google for your area. The next thing that you want to do is, after you've identified what area you're going to be the Google for, we want to create those items of value. We want to make a list of everyone that knows you and everyone that you know and like, right? And we're going to continue to add that list to our database, right? And make sure we've got everybody in that database. Oftentimes, we've got people on our phone. We've got people that we interact with at our kids' schools. We've got people that we interact with at the restaurant. We've got people that we interact with at our other job. We've got people that we interact with on social media, but we don't ever put them in one place. So our goal is we're going to take all those people, unbiased, throw them in our database, and we're going to make sure we have those. In addition to that, start connecting with the local business owners in your area. Okay. In addition, we want to make sure that we put all of those people in our database as well. So as we're becoming the Google of our area, we're noting our favorite restaurants, what new restaurants are opening, ones maybe that they should avoid. Now we want to go start talking to those business owners. Hey, can you give me a little like bio? Like, can I video you and tell me why you decided to get started, why you decided this location, why you decide what food you're bringing to the community, right? Like, what's your value? And you can do a little video with them. You can feature that on your Facebook page, and then you can add them to your list and make sure you add them to your database, right? We're helping them. We want to help them get business. Ultimately, what we're looking for as well is that business to business relationship where they're also going to maybe help pass us some buyers or sellers down the road as well. So we want to create solid relationship with the local businesses in the area. And again, make sure we add everybody to our database. We want to fill up that database. Next, I want you to reach out to everyone once per quarter in addition to the quarterly phone call. So we already talked about that quarterly phone call. But we want to interact with everybody in our database on a personal level once per quarter as well, in addition to the phone call. This is going to help you step up that database, right? Step up our COI. It could be a text message. It could be a social media direct message. Or if for the most impact, you could send a handwritten note in the mail, right? Like, how cool is it when you get something in the mail, especially when it's personal and it's not like a solicitation or a mailer or whatever, right? But the interaction, the goal here with this bonus interaction is that it shouldn't be business in nature, right? It should be just about building that relationship. It does not mean that it can't have your logo on the note card or that you can't include your business card, but the message should not be business in nature. Okay, the same thing if you choose like text or direct message. We want it to just be a personal message. Okay, level up your touch plan with this. It'll help you build relationships faster. Okay, so in addition, so far we've talked about quarterly phone call, and then we also are adding in a secondary touch, whatever you choose. We're going to pick one, and that's how we're going to interact with people on a quarterly basis as well. And I recommend that you space out that interaction with the phone call. Okay. In order to yield the conversion rate that we desire from our database, right? Remember I talked that we should have like a 10% conversion ratio. We need to be interacting in a regular and systematic way. I know you guys are tired of hearing me say systems and processes, systematic, but you're just going to hear it every week, like 3 or 4 times a week. Statistics show that if we should interact with our database a minimum of 36 times a year, and more is better. That's why it says 36 plus right there on the screen. Everyone in our database should get that quarterly phone call. There is nothing that can replace a quarterly phone call. You can try other interactions, but it's not going to yield the same results. Okay, so quarterly phone call, that's 4 interactions. In addition, they're going to get 24 emails per year. I recommend 12 monthly newsletters, or 1 per month, and 1 monthly neighborhood update, or at least a property search dropping properties in their inbox. Okay, so emailed neighborhood update and 12 newsletters. Then it's going to be best to invite to 2 events. Remember, we're talking specifically about our circle of influence, those people we've connected with, those people that interact with us normally, that will probably respond if we call or text them, not those people that are captured. Our captured people, we're just doing 19 interactions, 19 plus. These we're doing 36 interactions with. Okay, so invite to 2 events. Okay, keep in mind that it says 2 touches there next to events. But you should be incorporating additional touches into this, because we don't just plan an event and people magically show up. We actually have to like call and invite them, send them a save the date mailer, right? Create the event on social media and invite them through that. So like 2 events could turn into multiple additional touches. So just kind of keep that in mind. You're going to, you also, after the event's over, you're going to call and say, thanks for coming, or sorry, they couldn't make it, right? So those are bonus interactions. Okay, so we're just going to call events 2 interactions, although it's probably going to total like 6 interactions per event, which is going to help you level up your business even more. The next thing is that I would recommend sending 2 cards. Okay, for pick 2 holidays, pick whatever it might be, pick something fun and send out 2 cards per year. In addition, you should also be sending a birthday card and a home anniversary card. Even if you didn't sell them their home, you can look up their home anniversary and you can send them a home anniversary card. So it says 4 cards there. One's going to be birthday, one's going to be home anniversary, and then 2 additional cards sometime throughout the year. I don't like Christmas cards, because everybody gets Christmas cards and everybody sends Christmas cards. You just get lost in the pile. I would recommend sending something out like Happy Groundhog Day, or Happy Summer Solstice, or Happy I don't know, National Taco Day. Like make it fun and exciting, something to be remembered by, and something where you're going to stand out with those cards. That's my recommendation. Okay. In addition to those, you're also going to do 4 mailed or dropped off pop by our items in the mail. Okay. For your VIP clients specifically, it should be something where you're dropping something off on their doorstep. For the rest of your database, your circle of influence, those things can be mailed. It could be like a yearly fridge magnet with the calendar. It could be a copy of their closing statement if they bought a house. It could be an annual market analysis report for the house they live in. It could be additional holiday cards. The possibilities are endless there. You can make it fun and exciting. You could just do 4 handwritten cards, right, per year to them in addition. So all those things are in there, but that is our 36 plus interaction plan. So that should be like the bare minimum. Okay. In addition, if we want to step it up even further, we can take that 36 plus interactions to the next level. We can add in 4 personalized interactions as we talked about earlier, right? Send them a note in the mail 1 time per quarter, something handwritten. In addition to the phone call that is part of the 36 interactions, you could add in 4 text messages and 4 social media interactions, right? So I would work this like if I call them this month, then next month I would send them a text. It can be an automated text. It really doesn't matter if your CRM allows you to send out automated texts. If they live near you, it could be something like, oh, I was in your neighborhood showing property and I passed by your house. How are you doing? Right? Please make sure they're local if you're going to send that automated text, but it does make it fun. You don't actually have to have passed by their house. It can just be an automated text message that goes out, just a good way to connect with them. And you're also reminding them that you were showing properties, which reminds them that you're in real estate, right? So it's twofold. So something like that, a text message that goes out. And then a social media. So I would do, sorry, I didn't finish that. Phone call, 1 month, next month, text message, next month, social media interaction. And then just rinse and repeat. We're doing our phone call, we're doing our text message, we're doing our social media interaction. Sometime in there is where you're going to throw in that personalized interaction with them once per quarter. You might want to step up your events from going from 2 events to 5 events. Okay, so some of those events, in case you're like, Amy, what do you mean by events? Well, when we're talking like 2 events, it could be something like, oh, I'm going to register my park for National Night Out. That's like my favorite easy one, right? We're going to just register the park. We're going to show up and invite them to come join us for National Night Out. Maybe even make it like a fun potluck or bring ice creams, but you can make it something free on your end. It doesn't have to be super expensive or anything like that. So that might be one event. You could do another major event like renting out a movie theater or the ice rink or the gymnastics place, or you could host a pie giveaway around Thanksgiving, or pictures with Santa or the Easter Bunny, or an Easter egg hunt. Like so many opportunities there to do events. So for those 2 events, maybe if we're going from 2 events to 5 client events, we may want to add in something like happy hour or a fall festival or something like that. So maybe it's something that you're like, man, every Thursday I'm going to go to happy hour. I'm going to invite my sphere of influence or circle of influence to join me at happy hour, or I'm going to invite 10 people a week, right? Something fun like that. Just make it lighthearted and easy, and just continue to invite them. They don't actually have to show up. I mean, the goal is that they would show up because we're building more relationship, but ultimately part of that invite is those touches and just them being included. Okay. In addition to that, so our additional 4 personalized interactions, text messages, social media interactions, 5 client events. And you guys can like pick and choose from these 2. You don't have to grab it all at one time. I highly recommend for sure grabbing the 36 touch plan, but then you might be like, oh, well, let's try adding in the 4 personal interactions. And then next, maybe if I'm good at that the next 6 months, then after that, I'll start adding in text messages, right? So you can like step it up in small increments instead of doing it all at once. You could even start adding these things in over the course of the next couple of years. Okay. So in addition to those life events, pay attention to what your contacts have going on in their lives. Watch their social media. You could send out cards for major life events, things like deaths in the family, new pets, lost pets, marriages, childbirths, right? Whatever, happy vacation, whatever that is. Like, like look for life events and don't hesitate to celebrate with your clients. Okay. Or be sad with your clients. Like those type of things are going to stand out because you're paying attention. Okay. And the next charity, right? If you find some charities or community events to support, it gives you a couple of additional interactions as you promote the event or the drive or the charity. So just, and then it also makes you look like you care. Hopefully you actually do care about that charity. So that they're like, oh man, not only is she nice and she sent me a card when my dog died, but man, now she's supporting this charity too. That's so cool, right? So just kind of keep those things. These are your supercharged interactions. Okay, any questions? All right, fabulous. Next, if we want to give our clients the wow factor or create an experience, we have to think beyond the normal. Okay, we need to interact with them and bring them unique interaction opportunities that are going to knock their socks off. Not only is this going to help us like bring that wow factor to our clients, but our circle of influence, but even if they're not transacting with us because they're not buying or selling houses right now, they are going to refer us to other people. We want people that when they hear someone talking about real estate, they're like, oh my gosh, you've got to use my friend. Shauna's fabulous, right? So some ideas of going beyond the norm. You could get logo leaf bags in the fall and pass those out as one of your pop buys. You could do like spring home photos, right? Where you go by and take a picture of each of their homes or whatever, and then frame those and send those out. We could go, you could do like a golf or a bowling or a pickleball tournament. You could have like a shredding party where you have a shredding truck come. You could do a junk removal day, right? Maybe you get a dumpster dropped off in your driveway and people can come bring their junk and drop it off. Because who hates going to the dump, right? You always get like nails and stuff in your tires and flat tires. Gutter cleaning, window cleaning, ice cream truck, block party, charity drives, pie giveaways, Santa or Grinch photos, an Easter egg hunt, movie nights, seminars. There's so many things to think outside the box that people aren't doing. Wine tours, Zoom events. And just so you know, like you could do a wine tour and it doesn't have to be a free event. You'd be like, hey, I'm going to reserve the wine train, the Napa wine train for an event. It's $50 to attend. I would love to have you all join me, right? You can pass the cost off to them. That's totally fine. Or you can shoulder it yourself. You could host Zoom events, concerts, raffles, pet photos. You could do sports brackets for things like March Madness, the NFL playoffs, pumpkin patches, DIY classes, yoga, Christmas light tour. Like get a bus and take people around to all the cool Christmas lights. A mixology class showing people to make drinks, game nights, apple picking, pet adoption, chili cook-off, blood drive, sporting events, right? You could have a professional organizer come and give them tips on how to organize their house. That could be one of those Zoom classes that you offer, right? You could do a bingo night, a lawn care giveaway. There's so many things out there that you can think about to invite your people to or draw them in with fun things that may not cost you very much at all, if anything, and can make it fun and exciting and help you level up your business. Okay, that wow factor. In addition, we want to make sure that we create an experience by becoming the customer service master. Number one, answer your phone. Okay. And if you don't answer your phone, make sure that your outgoing voicemail message, like we talked about yesterday during our setting yourself up for success class, that your outgoing message sets the expectation of when they're going to hear back from you and that you actually call them back. Okay, the other thing that you could do is if you're busy with a client or an appointment or something, it's really easy, especially like on an iPhone, you can set automated replies that you just click message and go up and you can be like, in an appointment, how can I help you? Right, super simple, just so they think they're being heard, and then make sure you follow up with them. Be professional and go above and beyond, right? So be professional in your language, your attire, The way that you communicate should ooze professional. And do I mean that you need to show up in a suit and tie? Absolutely not. But we probably don't want to show up to client appointments or where we might interact or run into clients like in our sweats. Okay, just step it up just a little bit. And then go above and beyond. If someone needs something, figure out how to get it to them and how to take it a step further, right? Do the extra, under promise, over deliver. Okay. In addition, remember how we talked about having that like VIP group of people in our database, right? That group of past clients that are referring business to us, or the circle of influence that we want to use to refer us, want to, let me try that again. We want them to use us or refer us. Create a group in social media and add them in, right? The trick is you want to be providing value. So don't just like add them to a group, but you want to drive interactions and engagement. So you're going to want to post in that group 2 to 3 times per day, create discussions, engagements. You don't want to make them all real estate related. In fact, I would say probably very few should be about buying or selling homes. And also you can open it so that people can add their friends and family, right? But I would recommend that you don't add other real estate agents. You want to create a community of people, and by bringing them valuable information. So just kind of think about that, but we can use Facebook groups to help engage those people at a deeper level. I talk about the Ford sandwich all the time. So some of the bonus content here. Every time we reach out to systematically connect with people in our database, we're looking to build and deepen that relationship. So the easiest way to do that's with the Ford sandwich. That's where you're opening the call with Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. We're going to talk to them about those things. Doesn't have to be all 4. It could just be, how's the family? I know that you were expecting another child, or I know that your daughter was getting ready to go to school, or I thought last time we talked, your husband got a new job. You can even kind of stalk them on Facebook before you call them to see what they've been up to. But we're going to start with building relationship, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Then we're going to move to the middle of the Ford sandwich, which is the business portion, right? Asking for those referrals. And then we're going to wrap it back around to family, occupation, recreation, dreams at the end of the call. Okay, so we're going to wrap it back up with whatever it is that we started talking with at the beginning, business in the middle, wrap it up with relationship. We want them to make sure, that they feel like we care about them, which we really should care about them. Okay. In addition to that, I recommend calling your calls for the week with what I call the 3-step approach. Okay. So usually it would be like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but it could be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It really doesn't matter. But this is where I get my call list for the week. I call the whole list on day 1. For those that don't answer, I'm going to leave a phone message, something like, this is Amy. I was just looking to touch base. I'll try you later this week, right? I'm not asking them to call me back. I'm setting the expectation that I'm going to call them back. Day 2, I'm going to call them. And for all those that didn't answer, that I didn't get on day 1, I'm going to call all the people I didn't get on day 1 on day 2 again. If they still don't answer this attempt, I'm going to send them a text message, something similar to the voicemail message I left them on day 1. Something like, hey, it's Amy, just looking to touch base. I'll try you later this week, right? My goal is not to engage them in a text message conversation. So there's no call to action on this. I'm setting them up to answer my next phone call. So day 3, again, we're going to call all the people that we still haven't connected with. And if they don't answer, I'm going to leave them a voicemail along with a similar text message. So day 3, they're going to get both a text and a voicemail message. Something like, hey, it's Amy. I'm sorry we weren't able to connect this week. Please reach out if you have any real estate related questions or needs, and have a fabulous weekend. Now they're off my call list for the next 3 months. Okay. I find that when I do it this way, I get pretty close to like 75 to 80% of the people answering my phone call by the end of the week. So it's a really great way to build relationship. And if you're like, gosh, Amy, but I was really hoping they wouldn't answer my phone calls. I know, me too, but this is part of the business. We have to talk to people and build relationships. So we want them to answer our phone calls, even if you really don't. Okay. So 3-step approach. I try them 3 times. They get a 3 attempt to get them to answer the phone. If they answer the phone, we have that forward sandwich conversation. I make those notes in my database. We move on. If they don't answer by the 3rd call, I'm off the hook. Okay. Finally, VIP group, right? We can use this VIP group to step up that database referral game. Okay, so we've talked about this VIP group a couple different times now. If we really want to make it that kind of level up group, then, and we may in our database have our circle of influence, right? We may have our captured people, and then out of our connected, we've got our circle of influence, and then we have what we were calling our VIP group. Those might be our, I don't know, our gold people, and then we have or maybe we have our VIP and we call this other group the gold members or something like that. Like it's even a step above. Okay. The goal here is that you want to put people in this group that are going to give you a minimum of 1 referral per year, ideally 2. Okay. That's our goal. You want to choose your members wisely because they're going to be your cheerleaders, the people that you want to be in the deepest relationship with. They could be community leaders, friends and family, other business owners, past clients, right? There's no one left out of this as far as who you get to choose from, but you want to keep that group at a maximum of 50 people. Okay. In addition to that, we want them to know that they are in the elite gold group or the elite VIP group. Okay. And we want to make sure that we are providing value that we're not to them, that we're not providing everybody in our database. Okay, these 50 are going to get a monthly phone call instead of the regular quarterly phone call. We want to make sure that that phone call is relationship based, and we're going to let it lead to real estate, right? And maybe always have a market moment stat to share, like, oh, rates are down 0.25% since the last time we talked, right? Rates are going down. Or maybe it's, did you hear they're supposed to decrease rates 4 times over the next year? Right? Or maybe it's, I was just looking at home values and home values have risen over the past year, 30% or whatever it might be, right? So just have something to share with them to bring them value. You're going to want to run a quarterly happy hour or some sort of quarterly event where you invite them to. I would make it always at the same place and always at the same time on the same day of the week. So it might be like the first Thursday from 5 to 7 of every 3rd month, right? Because that's going to lead to higher attendance. Personally, call them on their birthday and send them a personalized gift. It does not have to be expensive. There's only 50 people in this group. Okay. Some agents also, they step up this elite VIP group or this gold group, and they send them a box gift once or twice per year to announce to the member that they have made it into the VIP group. Our goal is to let them know they're in there and they want to stay in there because they're getting cool things. Okay. So in addition to letting them know they've made it to the VIP group, we want to make sure that we let them know what has to happen to stay there, which is we have to get a minimum of 1 referral from them per year. Okay. And finally, host 2 events per year just for this group. One might be a large scale event per year, like a New Year's party, Friendsgiving, something big and fun. Select a theme, make them want to come. The second, make it like a party with a purpose, right? Host your own and support a charity, or find what other galas or community events are happening, buy a table and invite them to fill your table. Maybe like the first 8 to RSVP, get a spot. And then they don't get invited to the next one so that others have the opportunity, whoever didn't make it to that first one. The touches are designed to make sure that you're getting referrals. So you want to create experiences that make them want to stay in the group. Okay. So this is like our gold right here. That's why the whole slide is gold. We want to reevaluate this often. So we want to look at our list. Are they taking your calls? Are they sending you referrals? Are they joining into events? If they aren't participating, remove and replace. Okay. So we want to reevaluate this often. We want people that are going to plug in, connect, and provide those referrals. Questions about anything that we covered today? Fabulous. All right. Thank you so much for hopping on. I'm sorry about the link. This link that you're on today, that's going to be the link moving forward for all the trainings. I apologize for the change again. I know change is hard and confusing. It is for me as well. I ended up on the wrong link the other day too. So this is a link. Save it to your calendars. There's a link to the new calendar in both Slack, is that what it's called? Yes, Slack, and on the Facebook Foxhole group. So you can grab the link to that calendar and add it into your Google Calendar so it'll show up on your calendars. There's also a link to add it to your iCalendars if you use that. So any calendar that you use, you can subscribe to it, and then it'll put all the trainings on your calendar, which makes it really easy just to click on the training, click on the link, and you can join us that way. We'll be back next week with some more fun trainings. We got forms on Monday, Rev Up on Tuesday. We have another special guest on Wednesday, and I don't remember who it is next week. And then we'll be back with more lead gen on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. So we'll see you next week.